dama toog ñu send ma statement from UDP am ku ne ma ne lan nga def UDP ma ne ko loo miin mu ne ma ne gars yi ñu sa kaw ñu send ma statement ma read ko waaw ku nekk am nga sa right nga joxe sa own opinion man dama wax lu ma wax ñoom ñu wax ku binda loolu daal parce que xam naa ne loolu is not anyways ku binda na lu mu binda so that's democracy I understand so waaye lu ma jaaxal mooy man si suma kaddu lu ma wax ak nit ñi lu gaay nekk di discourse waxuñu ma lu ma wax am na wala amut dama ne the fate of this constitution depends on two mooy honorable Ousainou Darboe ak président Adama Barrow ñoom ñaar.
The fate of which constitution?
The fate of this 2024 constitution.
This okay.
Not
right.
even the 2020, the 2024, any other constitution we know. As far as ñoom ñoo nekk the major party, the fate of constitutional reform depends on these two people. Te lu ma wax ci statement bi dama ne kii ooy na moromam baay kii ooy moromam doom. Te baay ak doom ku gaay réeroo bu gaay toogee waxtaan dinañ gisee. So ba ma déggee wax ci bari bla 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 su nekkoon dañ wane lu ma wax ne amut ma ne waaw te dama wax loolu noonu based on the realities of our political spectrum, our political space. The UDP and NPP, so amee ñoom seen votes, there is going to be a constitution. It will pass through the committee stage. Te lu ma doon wax 5 years ago ba tey it doesn't change lu ma nekk di wax 2020 te ñu ni dañ naan man am defending the 2024 constitution waaye waxuñu tamit in 2020 I was defending the 2020 against the 1997 constitution dañu war a bàyyi this politics of convenience.
waaye léegi soo waxee loolu noonu ma laaj la tuuti su nekkee ne yaa ngi doon defend 2020 constitution bi and then which you have said here so today ne ñoom li ñoo wax ne yaa ngi defend 2024 constitution bi if that is anything to go by defend on nga bële defend bi or let me ask, are you defending the 2024?
I am advocating for constitutional reform.
Reform, okay.
Mota 2020 to date, that has been my position. 2020, new parliamentary new including that of the UDP. So len call dinen le wax ne mar bokk na ci ñi nga xamante len do call xam nga ñoom dañ ne wax ne dañ leen doon saaga. ñu def seen nataali man dama doon ko di waxtaana gaay am benn parliamentary bu ma call mu ne ma ne you are the first person ku ma call te saaguloo. I was advocating for them to allow the 2020. Mota last couple of days, dama andi wat video bob. Modern wax guy, you allow the 2020 draft to move to the committee stage and then make the necessary amendments. The same.
So
message.
Is it the same position you have now to say let's allow the 2024 to move to the committee stage?
It's the same. It never changed.
Okay.
It never changed. So 2024. We need to understand. Constitutional building process from our own legal and Gambian perspective.
Right.
Me and Saibo Munyo andi a bill called Draft Constitution 2021-2024. It has to be the executive. Oppositions cannot do that. Parliamentarians cannot do that. It has to be the executive. Nyom muna andi that bill to the National Assembly.
But look at them 2020 executive in the winter. They set up a commission.
The executive brought it. 2020, they only established a constitutional review commission.
That's what I said. The review commission came up with it and gave it to them, and they tabled it.
They took it to the executive, but the constitutional review commission cannot table that bill.
That's what I'm saying. The table. Why? Okay, the 2020. I think the issue here, the 2020 was not done by the. It was the executive that did the amendments and everything else with the help of a consultant, right? And then they tabled it. I think that also where the bulk of the problem was, because people felt like they did it among themselves. It was not consultative as the 2021, the 2020, the 2020 draft.
Constitutional building, right, is a political process.
Absolutely.
You understand? They,
But my political process, but the interest of the people.
But
should be
let me come here.
The politics cannot supersede.
Do our politicians represent the interest of the people?
They should.
They should.
Oh, yeah.
But do they in reality?
Exactly. That's why I said when you say they do, they should.
Okay. Now, it should be consultative. What funds?
That's what the people are saying.
What funds the Constitution?
What funds it?
What funds the Constitution?
As in the monetary?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is it not the budget?
Yeah.
Right? Is the budget largely consultative in the way it has been drafted?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are sifting.
Wait a minute, I'm coming.
No, just allow him to come.
You understand?
Yeah.
The budget, do you all have says in the way the money is being allocated, which determines whether you're going to have access to quality education, quality health?
No.
Right.
No.
But there's not much interest. Yeah. And the life of the country.
No, don't say there's not much interest.
Wait a minute. I'm coming.
Okay.
You said no, there's limited interest. There's limited interest, right? And I say this based on facts, right? I work on this public finance space for a long time now, right? Okay. The Constitution, there is a lot of interest in it from the people, and it is expected to be the case. I said this because in South Africa, when they were building their constitution, it was a political process. 490 parliamentarians, actually 400 parliamentarians, 90 senators, sat together to give South Africans the constitution they want. The initial one, they have what they call the multi-party negotiating process, negotiation. They all sat and they said, we want a constitution holding these 34 principles. The first draft that they brought were not compatible with those 34 principles. And they sat as a parliament. So the parliament of South Africa was the one that developed the 1996 South African Constitution.
And there was a multi-party parliament.
Multi-party parliament. It was about seven political parties.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, we have 57 that have decision making to make and build a constitution that the people desire. 490 achieved that. Why not 57 of our parliamentarians cannot sit together, review the 2024, and then give the people the constitution they desire? And I want to ask one question. That constitution, what is its name? What is the name? The one that is before Parliament.
The bill?
Yes.
2024.
There's one that is missing. There's a key word that is missing in there.
Draft constitution.
Draft. It is a draft. It's not a constitution. It's a draft. So what we are saying is, it is a draft. Give it to Parliament. Let Parliament do their job. In reviewing that document, what is good, maintain it. What is not good, make it good.
Okay, Marr, I just want to come here.
Coming.
No, yo, let me back.
No, wait. Time. Allow him to finish, and then we comment so that we close.
Allow him to finish.
When we want to do the interjection,
Allow him to finish. To ask him something so that he can continue.
Marr is getting to a point. Allow him to finish.
So Parliament, part of their core mandate is law making. They make laws. And part of their job is when the executive bring proposed laws to them to look at it and then make sense out of it. For the sake of God, when the Parliament were legislating a law to increase their salaries, were you all consulted?
No.
Where is that money coming from? It's not coming from taxpayers' money.
Yes,
but they all put their political differences aside and look at their interests and pass a law that increase their remunerations and benefits.
They do that all the time. Anything that has to
so
do with
why
them,
not?
they agree.
So why will a parliamentarian do that and then here stand and they say, I am going to reject it without looking at it? Why didn't you do that with that bill that seeks to increase your remuneration?
Or buy you products.
Why don't you, have you ever seen a national budget, and in public finance we call it EBP, Executive Budget Proposal. It's not enacted budget. It's already called an enacted budget after it is passed by Parliament. Have you ever seen a budget that is proposed to the National Assembly and the National Assembly said, I'm going to reject it in its entirety without looking at it? Have you ever seen that they amend the budget? It comes to Parliament, they look at certain proposed expenditures, they reallocate those expenditures. If they are to reject a budget, there possibly be a government shutdown. And the life and blood of a country is this two, the budget and the constitution. The constitution creates a budget, the budget funds the constitution. So why will parliamentarians or political parties take a position, rigid position for that matter, to say that we are going to reject it without having looked at it? And most of the parliamentarians, their base is, we don't trust our members from other parties. But you did trust them when you were passing the law that increased their remuneration. You did trust them with the budget. You did trust them with the anti-corruption bill. So constitutional building is about negotiation. Constitutional building is about consensus building. Constitutional building is about participation. And I've said this not once, not twice, that the executive failed in achieving a consultative process to build a constitution that reflects the needs and aspirations of the people. All hopes are not lost. The executive did not achieve that. Now, this is no more. You need to understand how parliamentary system works. This is no more an executive document. The executive have no say on that document. It is a parliament document. So it is the parliament that can decide what to do with that document and the content of that document. So parliament, if the people are saying the executive was not consultative, but parliament can take that constitution back and consult people. Others are saying the CRC have already done that. They've done that. They've achieved the goal. But people are saying this is the people's constitution. It's not the people's constitution. There is never going to be a people constitution that is 100% supported by the people. And in my lecture, I said that is only the law of God. It is the law of God that never changes. It is the law of God that consistent with all generations. Our constitutions are man-made, and they are ever going to be error-driven. And they are always going to be evaluated to adapt to our realities. Now, when everyone says the people's constitution, the 2020, I'm a Muslim, Nena is a Christian. The Muslim groups rejected the constitution. The Christian groups rejected the constitution. So how about the other groups that have dissenting views with that constitution? Why didn't we allow that constitution to pass and then look at their views? Now, this 2020, there is an opportunity.
You mean 2024?
This 2024. There is an opportunity to look at all of those issues. There are those that raise issues about citizenship. There are those that raise issues on religious basis. Right? There are those that raises so many issues on public finance, and you name it. Especially where it also says that 0.something% of the national budget goes to the Anti-Corruption Commission, which I support. Others don't support. So you're always going to have dissenting views on a constitution building process. Like I said, we're all human beings.
The Anti-Corruption Commission, what are they doing with that document? What does that document do?
That will be another conversation.
Yeah, it will
right?
be another conversation.
Yeah.
So
but
by that
to
part,
answer your question, my position has ever been to achieve constitutional reform. All of these things that we are talking about, security issues, corruption, public service, you name it. It is the constitution. The foundation is the constitution. And who has something to lose here if we don't have a sound constitution? Mm-hmm. It is us, the people. In 2020, the people were never given the position or the opportunity to decide whether they want the 2020 or not. In 2024, the people might likely not be given the opportunity to decide whether they want a new constitution or not. It has been decided by political parties. Now, all that we hear is the voices on social media, the voices on TV, the voices on the market. But there are those that are not also talking. Can we listen to them?
So when you say the political parties, and when you mention the two political parties, in your views, these are the two political parties, or the two leaders, not the political, well, the two heads.
Well,
of
the
these
two main
political.
there are two main political parties. Well, there is APRC that is legally recognized, and the No Alliance. We know the No Alliance don't support it, but the APRC Alliance supported it. PDOIS supported it. NRP supported it. In 2020, right? There was nothing like NPP parliamentarians. There were pro-ruling party or pro-ruling government parliamentarians that defected from one party to another. So for Gambia to achieve, and this is going to be written in our history book, for Gambia to achieve constitutional reform, is either Honorable Senou Dabo and President Adama Barrow sit, discuss, and see Gambia, right, and build compromises. That has to happen. Unfortunately, it is a political process. It is not given to the people. If you go to countries like Chile, their constitution, they have to elect people to develop a constitution, and that constitution was taken back to the people. And the people decide. It's not the government that's going to decide whether they want the constitution or not. The people decide to reject it or to accept it. For us, it's not the case. We took parliamentary process. So our position has ever been for consensus. And 2020, we said, pass the constitution with amendments. 2024, pass the constitution with amendments. It's the same language, it's the same message. And we are saying this because we know what is at stake. And I ask this question, who is there to lose? It is us, the Gambian. Who is there to win? It is the ruling party. Because on the 1997 constitution, with one vote, simple majority, they win. With 1997 constitution, they can be here for 100 years. No one has the legal authority to tell them to step down. Because the laws allow it. Under the 1997 constitution, still the president has too much executive power and monopoly that he can use at his disposal. So what is at stake here if you don't achieve constitutional reform?
Can I ask my
yes.
The only thing I want to
wait. You need to flow. I mean,
yes, that was good. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Okay.
One thing, right? Because definitely I have a lot of take to give, but unfortunately my chair does not allow me to take. But
no, I can take questions. I really wanted to clarify.
I mean, me as the host.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been if I was sitting here or here or here.
No,
I have so many things.
I welcome all these. You know, why would I support a government that put me in detention?
No, wait. It's not even about that. Let me go on.
I need to clarify this because people, well, gis nga, sumay wax damay wax ak ñuy déglu ak seen xel. Dama wax ak ñi nga xamante ne dañoo déglu ak seen xol. So, déglukat yi xol yi ñoo bari. Te nañ gëstu léegi lii ñu xool ko. If the constitutional reform process, right, is eliminated, who have something else to lose? It's us. The advantage is with Barrow and it's with NPP. That is the advantage. And you cannot take that away from them because you cannot bring a constitutional amendment bill. I mean, constitutional overhaul constitution or especially a draft constitution to the executive. Your party cannot do that. Your constituency cannot do that. Your political party representative in that parliament cannot do that. It has to be driven by the state. The CRC Act that you were talking about, it was the state that drafted the CRC Act and took it to Parliament. It was the state that funded CRC. It was the state that taxed CRC. It was the CRC was also accountable to the law that was proposed and enacted by the state. So these things, we need to be flexible in order to achieve a greater purpose and a greater goal.